Hi folks, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to download and install a version of Python that we're going to be using for Data 640. If you have any questions about this, then obviously please feel free to reach out to me via my TA email address, but I think once you watch the video it'll become pretty clear. We're going to be using a distribution called Anaconda. The reason we're going to be using this is because it contains a lot of the data science packages that we'll need, so we don't have to download them separately, we just download one package to start with, and then everything's included in that. So to do that, we're going to go to anaconda.com/download. There's a link in the instructions if you missed that, so you don't have to type it in based on what I'm saying. And then once we get there, we're going to go ahead and we're going to select the Python 3.6 distribution. You'll notice there's two versions. There's a 32-bit version and a 64-bit version. You will want to select the one that is correct for your operating system. So if you have a 64-bit operating system, you'll want the 64-bit one. If you have a 32-bit operating system, you'll want the 32-bit one. Click on one of those and download it, and it takes a little bit of time to download. It's quite a big file. So I went ahead and downloaded one earlier on. So once you've downloaded the file, you're going to want to go ahead and double click on the file you downloaded to start the installer. Just run through all of the steps of the installer. I like to install this for all users, but most of the options you can leave as default. Obviously, you will also need to provide administrative privileges if you want to install it for all users. You can go ahead and keep going through there. Obviously, I already installed it because that, again, the installation process takes kind of a long time, so I went ahead and did that already. And so I'm going to move on to the next step. And to do that, I'm going to bring up the Anaconda command prompt. To do that, just type in Anaconda into your little search box at the bottom, right-click on the prompt, and then run as administrator. You'll notice I didn't do that the first time, so I'm actually going to go back in, right-click on it, and then run as administrator. Again, it's going to give me that administrative prompt. The reason we want to do this is because as we're installing some of these packages, it's going to take some time. It's going to have to install things in that Python directory. So if we install Python as administrator, we also need to install the packages as an administrator. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a command that's called conda update conda. What that does is that updates the package management system in the back end of Python, which is called conda, to the latest version. It's going to go through a number of steps, and then eventually it's going to return us to the command prompt. So we'll give it just a couple of seconds to do that. You'll see that it gives us this box right here asking us if we want to proceed. Obviously, we do want to proceed, so we're going to go ahead and put yes in there. That will start it downloading the new packages and installing them, or in this case, updating them. Good stuff. So now we're back at the command prompt, and we're going to move on to the next step. The next step in this case is to go ahead and update all of the other packages. So we're going to type in the command conda update --all. That's going to look at all of the packages that we have installed in our Anaconda Python environment, and it's going to make sure they're the latest versions. There are a lot of packages in here. Many of them are not the latest version, so this step's going to take quite a long time. It's going to individually download all the packages, so we're going to scoot through that here. Alright, once that's done, the next step is for us to go ahead and install a package called Dask. That is D-A-S-K. That package has a number of different things that make some of the Python modules compatible with Windows. So again, it's an important one to install. It's actually already part of the Python distribution, but we need a more updated version of it. So we'll go ahead and update that one as well. There we go. Now we have that installed. We're going to install a couple of other packages. We're going to need one called min.gw and one called libpython. Again, these just allow the deep learning packages that we're going to be using to interact with the rest of the file system. So again, the simple command is just conda install and then the names of the two packages. And you'll see we'll begin to use that again and again as we go through these steps. Next, we're going to install a package called libpython. Oh, sorry, next we're going to install Theno. Theno's a backend for the deep learning software, and that, again, it's similar to other mathematical packages. It's really just a way of structuring data that makes it efficient for deep learning. We're actually going to install two backends. Theno is the first one, but that's the first one, so we'll go ahead and install that. And then we're going to go ahead and test it. So we're going to type in Python at the command prompt. Then we're going to go and write import Theno and press enter. And you'll see that if everything has gone correctly so far, what will happen is nothing. So we'll write that, it'll wait for a while, and then it will return us to that little the three little carets that are the Python command prompt in the command line. Once it does that, we're going to type exit with 2 parentheses next to it just to get out of that Python prompt. And then we're going to go ahead and continue installing the rest of our pieces. The reason we do this is just because testing as we go, it's a good way to know what went wrong, or if something went wrong, and we can go ahead and check that. So next up, we're going to install TensorFlow. So that is pip install TensorFlow. That's going to download the TensorFlow package. TensorFlow is an alternative backend, and it's actually the default backend for the deep learning software that we're going to be using, which is called Keras. So you will only use either Theno or TensorFlow at one time, but it's good to have them both installed just to make, in case there is an issue with one or the other. And again, once that's downloaded, we are going to go ahead and test that by popping into the Python command prompt and then typing import TensorFlow. And then the final step is for us to install Keras. So to do that, we're going to write pip install Keras. It's going to take a second to download, and then we're going to test that installation as well by typing Python to go to the Python command prompt. And then we're going to type import Keras. It's going to, again, it's going to think for a second. It's going to tell you it's using usually the TensorFlow backend if we've installed everything correctly. You can change that by going into a configuration file. There are some instructions on how to do that in the the documentation for downloading and installing anything. You do not need to do that unless you're having some other challenges, and that about does it. So now you're ready to start using Python, whether it's for deep learning or whether it's for just general machine learning.